All right, it's time to get into a bit of brand chatter with Tony Chapman, the host of Chatter That Matters podcast, looking at some of the big brand stories of the week. I feel like there's one very big story from this week, right, that we got to get into?
Yeah, it's the election of U.S. president, re-election, I should say, of Donald Trump. Again, we don't want to get into the politics of this with you, Tony, because you're the branding guy. We want to talk about the Trump brand, because it seems to me that it is arguably the most Teflon brand in the world. If you would add up all the scandals and situations, circumstances, criminal charges, whatever you name it, that Donald Trump has been associated in, but that he's still able to succeed, become the most powerful man in the world. I'm curious, like, could Toyota sell cars if they had the kind of track record that Donald Trump has in life?
You just set it up perfectly. How is it possible with the baggage he brought and he got elected and so decisively?
Yeah.
Here's a great masterclass for everybody listening. The Democrats had the war chest, they spent more money, but they were focusing on what I call very important issues, women's rights, ethnicity, climate change, but they weren't urgent issues. What Trump did is he started poking the sore of how a lot of Americans are feeling. I'm struggling to put food on the table. I'm struggling, I'm wondering if I'm gonna have a job. Are those people coming over the border coming after me? So he created this sore, and he said, the reason why is the elite. You know, the guys that are bringing out Beyonce and Bruce Springsteen, they have no idea what's going on. I'm going to focus on what matters to you. So if you're a marketer out there, you're in sales, you don't matter unless you matter to me. And that's the truth, and that's what Trump did beautifully. And then he owned earned media. I'm spending all this money on television. Yeah, I've got Joe Rogan, Musk, I've got Kennedy, I've got all these people that have massive influence out there coming and endorsing that you're right. The elites are stealing your life. We're going to make a difference. So I got to give full credit for Trump and whoever's behind that brand, whether you love him or not. And it's easy not to love this guy. He understands how to get to the heart of the matter, and to me, that's a lesson in marketing we should all take. King of beers, dentist most approved, world's fastest network. Nobody cares anymore. They just care, does it matter to my life and helping me? And that, to me, is why the masterclass in marketing, I got to give full kudos to the Trump campaign.
Yeah, we know how effective that was, and I'd love your take on the celebrity endorsements. We were talking about this yesterday, whether they really matter, because going into the election, all of the big names were behind Kamala Harris, and obviously that didn't help. And I'm wondering, is there going to be another look at that, whether those endorsements even matter? And were you surprised that it didn't seem to make a difference?
It only added kerosene to the flame. I mean, here's Trump saying the reason why you're struggling so much is the elite out there and how they're living like rock stars. And next thing you know, the elite's putting rock stars on the stage. So I would say it actually hurt the Democrats much more than it helped them. It's easy to look in the rearview mirror after it's over. But even the Taylor Swift factor, endorsing Harris because she's going to do all these wonderful, lofty things, important things again. But my urgency is my kids are starving. I'm worried about my job. That job's moved to China. I want to live that narrative of make America great again, when we flexed our muscles and everybody had a world that could afford vacations. And this is what he plays to. And it's that, listen, he's a reality television star. So you go, people overlook all his indiscretions. And it's not just, I hate to say it, but there's a lot of educated people that understand the economy that voted for him. They said, he is going to improve my circumstances. And that, to me, is where marketing is going to move. It's a lot less about mass, one size fits all, we're this and we're that, and much more about, Courtney, how can I help you? What can I do for you today? And I think that's something that's a lesson to learn for these people that bring out all the celebrities and spend all the money. I mean, the war chest the Democrats had, what really mattered was, who do I think is going to help me the most? They're going to get my vote. Big lesson in life, politics around the world right now is this ideology and these I'm going to change the world and part the ocean messaging. I think is when people are hurting, they go, I'm not listening.
So then what about the Democratic Party itself here? Because a lot of people, think Joe Biden either hung on too long, that hurt the brand, that they had sort of this frail elderly, that was how he was positioned. And then they brought in a fresher, younger leader. They thought that might be the sort of magic rub to then they pivoted the elderly onto the Donald Trump side of things. But the Democratic Party still came up way short of even where they were just 4 years ago. How much struggle and problem is that brand, the brand of the Democratic Party, now facing?
I think politics in general have got to wake up and realize that if you don't personalize, and the Democrats aren't doing that right now, they're not resonating with the average person. This was the party that was supposed to be for the average people. Remember, it wasn't long ago, the Republicans were the elite and the wealthy, and the Democrats were going to be the saviors. We're the party of the unions. It's completely reversed, and how did they allow that to happen? And I think they got so caught up in this sort of these massive worldly problems, which we have to solve as a human race. And unless the Democrats change their narrative and get back into really spending time with what's happening in Middle America, I don't know if you've driven through America. You leave New York City. When I drive to Florida, and you get into the Virginia mountains,
different places.
It's a different world,
Yeah.
and people are barely hanging on. And if the Democrats want to get back and become a party that people take seriously, they've got to realize. And I would argue the same thing with the Liberal Party. You just think you can go with this elite group of people and hang on, and not realize what's happening across Canada. I think they're going to be in for a sorry surprise as well.
Yeah.
Big lesson for the Liberals. They got to start changing that ideology and ideas, and start focusing on the economy, growth, prosperity, jobs, curbing inflation, all the things that actually matter, because I'm kind of worried when that mailman shows up with another bill and I got to play move the walnuts to see which one am I going to pay.
These are very real problems. That people
These are
dealing
serious
with right
problems
now,
that we're
so,
facing. Inflation is killing people that don't have the means. Like it was barely hanging on. Now things are 15% higher in price. This is the stuff that people are going to be voting for.
All right, Tony, we appreciate this masterclass from you on perhaps political branding. Good to chat with you. We'll see you back here next Friday. Have a good one.
Look
Take care.
forward to it. Always
Thanks
a
so much.
pleasure.
Thanks for coming in.